From the central coast of New South Wales, Australia, it's the #1 podcast for the X-Men animated series. This is Generation X-Men with Bender and Brooksy.
Yes, thanks, Steve. This is Generation X-Men. I'm Ben, and with me as always is Brooksy.
Hey.
Like the name suggests, we are Generation X-Men, and you are too. If you're new to this, what we'll be doing is going through all 5 seasons of X-Men the animated series, one episode at a time, giving you our thoughts, X-Quiz, tally time, and most importantly, having a laugh as well. Now, A Rogue's Tale, originally titled I Remember Mama. I'm glad that they changed. It's just a little bit of trivia that I looked up beforehand. What should be called X-Men Origins Rogue, and what I'd call a terrifying tale of possession that needs an exorcist immediately. This is a trippy-ass episode, man. And I remember having this one recorded as a kid and watching it a fair bit because a lot of the lines were coming back to me. I don't know why. Because this doesn't seem like a fun sort of episode that I want to rewatch over and over and over again as a kid. But upon watching it again this Sava, I found it very disturbing. You know, there's a lot of shocking and uncomfortable imagery in this episode. I mean, stalked by someone in your mind and getting possessed is like straight up Freddy Krueger shit. You know? It's like things coming out in the mirrors and she's hearing voices and changing into other people. It's a really sort of wacky episode, I thought.
Yeah, I had this one too recorded for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, I've seen it a lot as a kid.
That's crazy that it is, and I'm sure Kim remembers it as well. Because I think if you ask her, oh, well, where did Ray get her powers? I think she would be able to quote straight, oh, well, she got it up Miss Marvel and probably like putting her in a coma or whatever. I think she'd have all the answers. For some reason, we had this one recorded and we watched it a fair bit. So far, we've had 3 origin stories, including this one, others being Wolverine and Gambit. I think the Wolverine one's the most accurate, Gambit's most hilarious, and this one's the most out there.
Yep.
So anyway, before we get into that, it's time for X-Quiz.
Pop quiz, Hotshot.
Pop quiz!
Pop quiz, asshole.
Time for a surprise quiz?
Won't be a pop quiz on Wednesday. There's a pop quiz. Pop quiz.
So how many questions could you pull out today?
I could only pull out 2, and you might have one of these questions. How many did you get, more importantly?
I got 4.
Of course you did. Let's kick it off. Hit me, I'm ready.
Okay, what number is Jean's room?
Is it... I wasn't even paying attention to this. I was expecting... I had an answer ready for you. I was going to say melons before you even opened your mouth, because I thought that's where you're going to go with it, but you didn't. I will just say that her number is 26.
Incorrect. It is 14.
14. I knew it was double digits, so.
So from 14, what would be the number that's across the hallway from that?
You think it would be 13, right?
It's incorrect.
What is the number?
It's lucky number 7.
Doesn't make sense. We need to get that. Clip of the guy from the Phantom. That doesn't make sense.
Xander
That doesn't make sense.
All right, at the start of the episode, we see that Mystique has taken the disguise of some woman in the rain, and she's using an umbrella. What colour is her umbrella?
Red.
Yes, it is. That's how desperate I was.
Which hospital is Carol Danvers in?
I think I know this one because it's a pretty stock sort of name. Is it City Hospital?
Oh, no.
It's not?
No, that's
Rubbish.
the other hospital. There's 2 hospitals
that
I've seen now in the series.
Oh, you're kidding. It's not City Hospital.
No.
Oh, shit. What is it?
It's Midtown Hospital.
Oh, darn it. Oh. I have to pull up the video. I don't believe that. I'm pretty sure I saw City, unless there's 2 hospitals, unless it changes.
Insert quote here. You can do that when you're going through the podcast.
Oh, okay. All right, I will. All right, during the flashback, you see Rogue stealing the powers of the other members of the Three Stooges. She steals Pyro's powers. What creature does she make with fire?
Was it a little dog?
It was a little doggy. I would say it was a Newfoundland dog, just by the shape of it. Long, furry sort of dog. That was a funny one.
What is on the hat that Rogue's dad wears?
Oh boy, it's a sort of trucker's hat.
Yep.
I'd imagine it'd be some sort of sports team. Was it the Detroit Tigers again? Detroit Tigers?
It's not a sports team.
It's not Kiwanis.
No.
It's not Larry Houston's favourite sports team. It's not a sports team. I don't know. Does it say beer?
No,
Oh, I thought that was a pretty good guess. I'll tap out.
it's the American flag.
Oh, of course it is. I know there's an American flag hung up in the background of it somewhere. Oh, never mind. I must have been looking at the hat, but I guess it was on the wall. Anyway, that's it for my questions. How many more you got?
I'll give you one more.
All right, hit me.
How many levels of the mansion does Rogue fly through?
Is it 4?
It's 3.
Ah,
So the first one.
I was counting the beats in my head. The last one's the roof,
Yeah,
probably.
that's right. It's the roof. So yeah, you got Wolverine. He's bringing in the firewood in the first one. Next one's Jubilee in the arcade, and then you got Storm in like the glass house. At the
Yeah,
top.
in the with the plants and stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. That's a great scene, by the way. We'll break that down later.
Previously on X-Men.
So as you've alluded to before, this previously on X-Men is all about Rogue.
Rogue
It's a
highlight reel.
backstory. So it's mainly on how her powers don't allow her to touch other humans, and she can absorb the powers of other people. You see a lot from like The Cure and Come the Apocalypse and all those sort of ones. And there's a fair bit of Gambit trying to touch her as well. And then we get the CPR scene from Enter Magneto.
Yes. During that, I was shocked that we didn't make any CPR jokes like from Dumb and Dumber.
No Dumb and joke.
Yeah, well, I asked you, did we make a CPR joke from Dumb and Dumber
No.
in the podcast? You go, no. I said, it's a missed opportunity right there. It's a bit a lot easier if you just lay back.
The best part's where he spits out all that food. So much food in his mouth.
And you
It's great.
mentioned you got tangled in the blind. That's awesome.
Pills are good.
Pills are good.
Hey, you want some sauce? That helped us. Son of a bitch.
Check, please. Need a theatrical cut of that movie released on Blu-ray. It's just that shitty director's cut that I hate. If this podcast has any pull, release the theatrical cut of Dumb and Dumber. The director's cut is disgusting and inferior. That's it. Oh,
No more hot tub scenes.
no more hot. That doesn't need to be there. It's not funny. It's funnier when they smash cut in and they're just straight in the hot tub there
Yeah.
together. You don't need to slowly realise they're in a hot tub. Terrible. Terrible. Anyway, back to X-Men.
So I think we should break it down.
Break it down. Now it's time for a breakdown.
Breakdown.
So today we are doing number 22, Season 2, Episode 9, A Rogue's Tale. Original air date for this one was January 8, 1994. So that's our first episode for 94.
Right.
And it was written by Robert N. Skur and Marty Eisenberg and directed by Larry Houston.
Anya Larry.
So the episode starts with a woman walking down through a rainy street under a red umbrella.
Thank you.
And the woman has like shoulder-length brown dreadlocks.
Yep.
We haven't really been introduced to this woman before. Haven't seen
No,
her
we've never
before.
seen her before, so we're pretty much thinking that a civilian is probably going to get attacked or killed.
So yeah, she runs into this guy. He's got like a flat top haircut, and he tells her to give her the umbrella. And she drops the umbrella over her face, and then when she brings it back up, she's transformed into this huge bug,
Yeah, a big bug creature with snarling teeth and scares the crap out of
big
him.
red eyes. And this freaks out the guy, so he runs away.
He's a pretty cruel sort of dude there. He's just standing in the rain using a newspaper to cover his head, and he just wants to steal someone else's umbrella. Really low life sort of creep hanging out
Yeah.
there. He got what he deserved.
So she then enters a dark room and lights a candle, and then she morphs into Mystique. So this
Yeah.
is Mystique.
Yeah, I think fans of the series would either recognise that, it might be Mystique or it might be Morph, but seeing how Morph's still in the jungle, I think people would have put it together that she's a shapeshifter.
So she says, you said you had a gift for me. And in the room we see Mr. Sinister, we haven't seen for a few eps.
It's a really cool introduction to him too, because really dark room and it's just lightning striking, and then he just sort of appears anytime there's a flash. And I don't think we mentioned much about it, the Mr. Sinister theme that comes up, the dun 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 dun. I thought that's a really cool, simple theme, just as a signifier for him. And also during this little scene, there's a lot of close-ups of his glowing red eyes in the dark. I thought that's pretty cool.
As soon as it goes to black, it's just his big red eyes.
Yeah, that's really neat.
So he explains to Mystique that the professor is no longer with the X-Men, and like sheep without a shepherd, they become lambs to the slaughter.
Oh, dear.
Sinister tells her if she defeats them, she can reclaim her daughter.
Well, she wants to. I think at this point we don't know who her daughter is, right? So it's all very mysterious.
We do, yeah. They've alluded to this before.
That's right, in like The Cure or one of I
I
used to
think
look
it was
like this.
number 2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Days of Future Past 2?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to look like this. He goes, Mama.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, I'll read you now. I'll redact my statement.
So, yeah, also Sinister's aware of this as well.
He seems to know a lot.
Mystique transforms back into the woman that we saw before, and then she takes off out of the building with Sinister laughing maniacally behind her.
Yeah, and he sort of like, you see him for a bit, they flash the light, then he just disappears.
Yeah.
So I wonder what his powers are. Like they lead night, he closes the door with his hand.
Yeah.
He steps on the candle, and then he just disappears into the night while laughing. So it's a very mysterious, very I'd say vampire-like his powers are, because he can sort of do whatever he wants depending on the
what script asks for.
Yeah, what the script demands.
Also,
Context.
for me, this brings up like Mystique's powers, how she can change clothes and that sort of stuff as well, and create. Like if it's raining, can she just create a raincoat and a bloody umbrella, and she's all
It
good?
looked like that as she transformed. The umbrella sort of came into her hand.
Yeah.
So does it work like the T-1000? She just loses a bit of mass if she creates an umbrella. What if she drops the umbrella?
Yeah, does she always need the umbrella?
Yeah, is that like she morphs back? She missing a leg now? But oh yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So we now transition to another town where it's nice and sunny and all clear. And then the ground starts to shake, which can only mean one thing. Back to our favourite Three Stooges.
I hate the Three Stooges.
Yes, Avalanche, Pyro, and Blob are back. And then Pyro tells Avalanche, nice work, Avalanche, old stick.
Old stick. It's a nickname I'll try and bring back.
Pyro is getting better with his creating things out of fire, we see too. He's got the X logo up.
Yeah, he's putting like the bat signal up to lure the X-Men towards him.
And he sort of changes another one into a bird, and that sort of terrifies the people in this fair, I guess it is, you reckon?
Yeah, it looks like a fun fair or something like that, just a carnival. I imagine there's like cotton candy and melons for sale.
Yeah,
why would there be melons?
melons?
Melon eating contest.
And then Blob crashes through an ice cream shop.
Oh boy, tutti
He
frutti.
says that, but on the ice cream it's clearly labelled vanilla. Like, what is he doing?
Maybe Tutti Frutti is a brand,
brand name?
that you're not allowed to write on anything else, so he just grabs the vanilla instead. I don't know how it works, but that is an interesting thing. He enjoys it regardless.
So as usual, their whole job here is to lure the X-Men out, because they're just easy fodder for the X-Men.
Yeah, they're just causing a bit of ruckus to lure the X-Men to the location. So you know something's planned. It's a trap.
And as usual, Blackbird's there within seconds, and Storm and Rogue jump out early.
Yep.
And as soon as the X-Men show up, Pyro tells Avalanche that their job here is done, and they should go. But dumb Avalanche, nah, he's not up for this. He wants a shot at these ex-geeks. And then almost immediately after saying that, just gets nailed by a Cyclops eye beam. Bang.
Because he tries launching his avalanche powers at the sky, at the girls, anybody. He can't connect. Then he gets blasted by Cyclops, and Pyro says something clever, "Suit yourself" or something like that.
And then again we go back to Blob. He's sitting here still eating the ice cream. And he says, no, you can't have any. And then immediately throws it at Storm. It's like, can she have some or not? And he just threw it to her.
Maybe it was an empty cardboard container that still knocked her on her
why,
ass.
why did it knock her on her ass? So,
It would only be, a gallon of ice cream, but still. No, you can't have any. Maybe just chuck the non-tutti fruity. The stuff that he doesn't like, the bits with fruit in it or whatever.
So then Rogue flies in, tries to punch Blob. She hasn't learnt.
Nah.
She's straight back out again, straight into a pile of rubble. So as she's laying there, like a blonde woman comes over the top. And that it sort of triggers like this blue light to go off in Rogue's head. And she sort of starts having these terrible visions of what looks like a green-skinned lizard woman.
Yeah, lizard woman with the black eye mask over her face and just flashes of that.
Still got the blonde hair, but yeah, it's like this, green-skinned lizard.
Green-skinned lizard woman with blonde hair and a robber's mask on.
Yeah.
That'd scare the crap out of me.
Yeah.
That's all it'd take for me. And she starts tripping balls.
And then we flash to black for the ad break.
Very good.
So we come back from the break, and we have Rogue is unconscious. We're in Rogue's subconscious. And it's like this kaleidoscope sort of scene. And there's like orbs of these people floating down.
Yeah, that's right. Key people that's in alive.
Yeah, we see Gambit, Storm, the Professor, Logan, and then her mama.
Mama.
And then this bearded, redheaded guy, which we later find out's a dad.
Yeah, that was a random one for me, just going through it. I'll quickly ask Strata, who the hell's that person? I haven't seen him before. Is that
Not as random as the next random Asian guy.
Oh.
On the right, just floats down. Who's random Asian guy?
Was he not? No, he wasn't in the episode, was he? Oh, well.
I don't know who random Asian guy is.
It's probably what the writer looks like or something. One of the animators. That's pretty funny.
And then we get Jean and Jubilee.
Mm.
And then then she just wakes back up and she's back in the mansion in the infirmary.
Yeah.
Yeah, she explains here to Cyclops and Gambit that since the professor has disappeared, she's been having these flashes of memories, and the professor's been trying to suppress it in her mind.
I think this is really... I'll give you a dark theory here, Brooksy, that the professor is trying to get the X-Men addicted to him.
Yep.
That makes sense to you, ringing true? If he's absent for a while...
They're all fucked.
They're all sort of screwed. Their mind is going to come crashing down like a pack of cards or something, you know? It's just like that real sort of... So they need him around because he's fixing up their brains or whatever, and as soon as he leaves, they start needing to get their kick again. They need their hit. So that's pretty messed up shit if you want to break it down like that.
So then Jean enters with this mini disc drive device.
It's like a cassette player with a little mini DVD in there.
And it's got photos of this blonde woman from the paper.
Yeah, that's right.
And just like, it's like she wants us to see her. And they flick through all these different photos. She's in a car crash, and then...
It's like this, she's in the middle of a protest, and then she's standing to the side, and then there's a shot of a car crash where she's just straight blatantly in the corner, like a woman who's just trying to photobomb all these things. I can imagine the photographer for, say, the Daily Bugle is getting ticked off that she keeps ruining the shots. Who is this woman?
And then now they decide, let's show this mini disc drive to Rogue. And then all of a sudden that just triggers. That's the blonde woman.
Is this her? So cruel.
And then that just causes her to just fly straight out the window.
Yeah.
She's gone. She doesn't want to see this blonde woman.
Ah, Jesus.
And outside she finds Wolverine. And he's chopping firewood again with the one claw.
Yeah, and he's wearing just the lower half of his uniform.
Yep.
So the yellow tights, the big blue boots.
And shirtless.
And shirtless chopping wood with his claw. Why wouldn't he just be in his denim shorts for that? Why does he need to put the tights on to chop shit?
He looks like a bloody lumberjack when he's in his normal clothes.
Exactly, right? Shouldn't he be in his lumberjack clothes? No, I'm just going to put the tights on. I'm going to cut some wood.
Yeah, I don't think they think of that, because later when they show up at the hospital, he's in his civvies. Everyone else is in their bloody other clothes. What's going on?
What's going on, Larry? I know it's hard. Can't we just get him in the civvies always?
So we see Wolverine. He's sort of like overlaid with the blonde woman, and that freaks Rogue out again.
It's Rogue's POV, and it's Wolverine standing there, but then she starts hallucinating and projects the image of the blonde woman over the top of Wolverine, and then she trips out.
And then she punches the stump that Wolverine's been splitting wood on. It causes it to explode in like yellow smoke.
Yeah.
How is this her powers? When did she get this one?
It's chargeable fists that blow up tree stumps. Launches Wolverine back. Yeah. You can imagine Wolverine's mindset there. Hey, I'm using that. What was this?
You don't want to be warm tonight?
What's this all about? What did I do? Poor Wolverine.
Can't keep me bottled up in there forever.
Leave me alone! Wolverine! I'm sorry!
So then Gambit comes up and he puts a hand on Rogue's shoulder, and that freaks her out again. She turns around, knocks him to the ground.
And he goes flying because she's super strong.
And then she flies back into the mansion. She's yelling out for Jean. I'm like, why? She going to fuck her shit up too? I want to fuck everyone up. Where is everyone?
You're taking the whole X-Men team out one at a time.
You've just ruined 2 of them. And they say, I need someone else.
In the middle of their chores. Like what Beast's taking the trash out. She freaks out, and punches the bin. The trash goes everywhere. I want those scenes. Extended scenes of Rogue messing up everybody's chores. It's made this 10 times harder for me.
And then she says she just wants to be left alone. And so this is when she pops in. She's looking for Jean in Jean's room.
Yes.
And then she's not there. And Cyclops comes out.
Mm.
And he also has the overlay again there.
Yeah.
She starts to...
It's hallucinating again.
And then Rogue sort of falls into the lower depths of her mind.
Oh.
Where she's put this mystery blonde woman. So this is... Yeah, we go into her mind here.
Yeah, locked away in her subconscious there, which is the kaleidoscope world again, right?
Yeah. Yeah, same that multicolored, yeah.
Yeah.
So Rogue asks who she is and why she's doing this. And the mystery blonde woman says, you took away my life.
Real confronting stuff.
So this time, like, Rogue's sort of on these floating rocks, which they sort of disintegrate.
Yeah.
And then she starts throwing, like, other boulders at her and that, and they start falling, and she's punching her way through them.
Yeah, she's, like, fighting her way to the blonde woman.
Yeah, she's, like, flying around in her subconscious, and then she sort of snaps out of it, and she's flying around the mansion. And she flies straight into Cyclops, and he sort of brings her out of it, and he's like, you all right? And he's like, oh, Jean's here now. And then she says... Rogue's voice changes now.
Yeah.
Rogue's out of it, and it's not Rogue.
Yeah, it's just like Rogue's, the other personality has taken over Rogue's body. She stands up, doesn't know where she is. She's speaking with a different voice. That's what I'm thinking is this possession exorcist stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. It's like, whoa, this is not a cartoon.
And she's like, what is this place? Who are these people? And then Rogue sort of retakes over control here.
Yeah. Gets control back.
She picks up the couch to defend herself.
Yeah. She holds the couch over her head.
And then Jean manages to telekinetically grab the couch and put it back down.
Yeah, she puts it back down, then she hits her with the mind probe.
Yeah, she probes her.
And the mind probe, just to differentiate from the telekinesis, is purple now with like yellow circles around it, just to like really sort of make it different from her other power, which comes from the center of her head. So
Which
it's
is
just
blue.
a different coloured beam, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So every other time it doesn't really happen, it doesn't come in beam form. This is more like an attack probe. She really wants to find out what's going on inside Rogue's head.
So Jean says, there's another presence in there.
That's when you see flashes of the Green Lady, right?
Yeah, she sees her now in the mirror. And she sees a reflection in the mirror.
Yeah, Rogue looks over to the mirror and sees her reflection for a little bit. Then it changes
to the
green blonde woman.
Yep, the blonde lizard.
The blonde lizard. And that's creepy as hell to me. That belongs straight into just saw the Deliver Us from Evil with Eric Banner in it. That would not be out of place in that movie.
So yeah, the blonde lizard woman sort of tries to attack her through the mirror. She cuts coming at her, and then it cuts away here, and then like the mirror's been smashed.
Broken.
We don't actually see that.
Yeah, I thought it broke. I thought, I must have missed it when I was writing notes, but you're telling me it didn't.
Yeah, I thought that would have been a good scene. Like if it's coming and smash.
Yeah,
it falls into a. Maybe they couldn't animate that. Maybe
it got cut for time. It's too hard to do.
It would have been pretty hard, wouldn't you think? Like animating so many
different moving parts. It would have been pretty tough, but I'm sure there's a reason why it was cut. Maybe the shot was just bad. I don't know. Rush production.
So this is the part where she's flying around the room, and then everyone's sort of like ducking for cover.
Shit. She go crazy. Get down.
And then she just bangs straight up through the ceiling, and she goes through the 3 floors, and then out of the mansion. She's gone.
That's a really cool scene for me, because that looks like the frames of a comic book. I've seen a few comic books where they go through multiple platforms. They just have like a really vertical frame there, and they just go through them all. But this one, because it's animation, the camera follows up as she's going through all the floors. I thought that's really cool.
And then you see like Wolverine that lean over through the hole as we're looking up. That's a cool shot.
It was a cool shot. Then you see through all the levels of where they've gone through, and you see each of the characters looking up from what level they were on.
So Storm's on the top level here.
Yeah.
And Cyclops turns to Jean and says, Jean, get Storm to follow her. Like, can't you just yell out to her? Oi, Storm, you follow her. What the hell is she doing?
Why does he tell Jean to do that? Can't he just... Boop?
Exactly. Yeah, his line is, Jean, get Storm to follow her. We have to be prepared for anything. Is this one of these Cyclops stupid lines again? Like, we have to be prepared for everything? Like, what?
Hey, that doesn't make sense.
We need Drax.
We need Drax. He's going to help us out.
Jean, get Storm to follow her. We have to be prepared for anything.
That doesn't make sense.
So Rogue's taken off now for the Statue of Liberty torch.
Yes.
And she's sitting on the top there by the time that Storm catches up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue tells Storm that she's scared and the only other person who could help her is the Professor. But now he's gone. So I guess the X-Men have given up on him forever. He's gone.
They've written him off. Forget about him. So it's just us now. Who's going to pay the bills?
And then the mystery blonde woman shows up again. She's just floating through the air this time.
Yeah, floating in front of her.
Yeah, sort of beckoning her to come with her, follow her. And she leads her all the way down to the hospital.
Yeah.
And she says, I'm in the hospital where you put me.
Yeah, so this projection, this hallucination, it's got some advanced knowledge as to where its former host body was taken to, which makes me think maybe she's still aware of what's going on with Rogue. She can still, that subconscious, that spirit or whatever you want to call it, that presence can still learn through Rogue. So she's probably still up to date on everything, but it's just been repressed, which is a pretty scary thought.
So Rogue lands on the roof of the hospital and makes her way down the stairs. And this is where Mystique shows up.
Finally, she is ready to come back to me.
So Storm's just a couple of seconds behind her and flies over. Mystique morphs straight into Rogue and draws her down.
Yeah.
And she lands down here and this is where Blob comes out and flicks her in the face.
Yeah.
Knock her out.
Really strong Blob. He just plucks her with his...
And then Mystique leans down, sprays her in the face with a can of knock yourself out.
It's like a can of knockout gas, but it's in the can of, say, an air freshener rather than sort of like a spy knockout gas sort of thing. So I think, she blasting her with Mr. Sheen or something? This is a pretty dark way to knock somebody out. Just a regular aerosol can you get straight off the shelves of Woolworths or a supermarket.
So then Mystique uses the communicator to call the X-Men and calls in a code red to the Midtown Hospital immediately.
Midtown Hospital.
Yeah, that's where I got it from. Then the nurses standing around this blonde woman in the bed, and they're saying, this is our Jane Doe. We call her Sleeping Beauty. And they're saying how she hasn't had any brain activity since she ever came in. And they're saying, see this monitor here? See how it's a flat line? Yeah, well, that means she's got no brain activity. I don't know why they're alluding to this. Is this going to come up later? Is it?
I think it will come up later, actually. Are we foreshadowing something?
So then the X-Men then show up. And this is a point of I wanted to talk to you about.
All right.
Show up in a red convertible, which Cyclops is driving.
Yeah.
So you got Cyclops, Wolverine, and Gambit. Wolverine's in his civvies, and Cyclops got his jacket on. Is this the first time we've seen Cyclops with that jacket on?
The brown jacket?
Yeah.
I think it would be. I don't remember seeing it anywhere else. It would have come up in our notes.
So my question is, why did they show up in this red convertible instead of the Blackbird?
Oh, yeah.
Is Blackbird in the shop? And this red convertible, is this Rogue's red convertible, or is this Cyclops' red convertible that Wolverine made for him back in one of the first episodes?
In Night of Sentinels Part 2.
So what do you reckon?
I just made him a convertible. I'd like to think that it is the car that Wolverine turned into a convertible, but Cyclops is too tight to pay for a new one or to get it fixed. He's just sort of tried to mod it himself to make it a regular one. I think they wouldn't have taken the Blackbird because maybe it's a low priority or something. But
it's a code red. What is code red? Does code red mean bring the red convertible?
Code red for a red convertible. We're here, but I don't know why Storm called it code red. Are we going driving? Shut up, psych.
It would have been good if it was his car for Wolverine to say some line to him, like, nice car, mate.
Thanks for taking the car, I got you. Something like that.
Good to see you enjoying this car.
Yeah, there you go. There's a little callback. See, if we were animating or producers, we'd do that. Either way. Might have taken the focus off the drama of the episode.
So as soon as they get out of the car, it's they got like Mystique there. She still has the Storm. She's still morphed into Storm. And then you see Blob jumps off the building and sort of crashes up the ground. And then there's all these boulders, so Avalanche can like shake all them.
Yes, yep.
It crams the X-Men in between all a bunch of boulders, so they're all just stuck there.
And they get trapped.
And Mystique morphs back into her blue form and explains that the X-Men stole everything that's very important from her, and now they are going to pay. And then, so we go to an ad break there. We come back from the ad break, and Avalanche says, "Rock and roll, ex-fools." As soon as he's finished, bang, another eye beam straight from Cyclops.
Yeah, this is the only thing Cyclops is doing right is shutting up Avalanche.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just about to say. This is the only thing I enjoy from Cyclops.
Punking out Avalanche. It's the only time he's done something good, right?
That's right.
So we could agree with Cyclops on something.
So then he blasts them out of the rocks, and Wolverine already has his claws popped here. Like, why?
Just to deny us a claw drawer, I think, Brooksy.
Yeah, we'll get to that in time. So then Pyro creates like a lion fire this time.
Yeah, fire lion.
And it takes like a swipe at Cyclops, and he ducks, and it like removes all like the render off the building back to the bricks.
Yeah, it's all the way down to the bricks.
Cool.
I was going to ask you what it's called, all that concrete and shit that's in front of the bricks. Now I know it's called the render.
Yeah, just the
to
concrete.
give it that.
Yeah, the concrete render over the top of the bricks. Yeah.
I like that. That was a cool scene.
And then we see Gambit. He takes out a card, throws it at the lion, and explodes. So, yeah. That's how you get rid of those fire things.
That's how you beat the fire monsters. Did he have a line there? Because there's a lot of sound effects going over the top. I thought he said so. Yeah, he did say something. He said, "Down, kitty," or something like that. I wrote it down.
All right, yeah.
I think he said it like that. Hang on. Let me find the line. I wrote it. He goes, "Nice, kitty." And then he chucks the card at it. But you couldn't hear it because there's too much shit going on. I thought it was a funny line.
So yeah, Gambit's cards explode the lion, but Cyclops' blast just piss it off.
Yeah. No, don't do that. Don't do that. If you blast it, you just make it angry.
So you get a bit of a fight scene here, and Gambit gets out his bow staff.
Yeah, gets the extendo staff out again. Love it.
We always enjoy that.
Yeah, he uses it as like a pole vault, and he kicks somebody with it.
Kicks Avalanche. And Cyclops hits Pyro with a blast, and then Wolverine, he's already got his claws popped again, and he goes over and tries to stab Blob.
I know, that's the crazy thing we saw. Like, he's going to use his claws to stamp somebody that's not a robot.
Yeah.
This is a big moment, but it doesn't work on him for some reason because his guts is too malleable.
So then Blob just grabs him, picks him up above his head, and he's like, "Eat some sidewalk." Hammers him into the ground.
And then Wolverine says, "Need salt."
Yeah, it's great, Wolverine.
And this line reminded me of Batman Returns. "I haven't been fed all day." Batman says, "Eat floor." High fiber. That's what that reminded me of. Need salt. High fiber. Love it.
And then Storm comes to on the top of the building, so the Kano knockout doesn't last for too long. And she sort of just picks up these three stooges in a tornado, and then off they go.
You stooge.
So Rogue's now making her way around the hospital, destroying everything she sees while she chases this voice.
Yeah, I wrote down there she's causing a lot of property damage
to
a hospital.
Yeah.
She don't give a shit. Like, she breaks through some doors. She sees Mystique hide behind the elevator door. She rips the doors open, fires the elevator up, bashes through the floor of the elevator, goes through the doors again. It's like, oh man, she doesn't care. Straight up doesn't care.
So she finally comes into the room with this unconscious blonde, and Mystique explains that she brought her here to explain her past and that the professor is locking away in her brain. Mystique tells Rogue to touch her and remember. And that's not how her powers work again.
They take like a little bit of energy. I don't know how it's with memories.
No.
I don't know. But anyway, script needs it to be memories.
So then Rogue goes sort of like the blue of Mystique, and then she remembers back to the Cody moment, where she kisses her boyfriend and puts him into a coma. Then we get a bit more of that night. We get Rogue's dad here.
Oh, yeah.
He's the red bearded redneck, all right?
Big red.
He's got the blue jeans on, green shirt.
Of course he does, yeah.
It doesn't cover his beer gut. He's got that American flag cap on. And, of course, he's got ciggies rolled up in the sleeve.
Yeah, he seems like a big old American dude if I ever see one. Bet he drives a pickup truck.
Oh, definitely.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, loyal American listeners.
And he is not happy that his own flesh and blood is a mutant.
My own flesh and blood, a mutant. Theta, please.
And he says, "You ain't my daughter." And I remember that line.
Yeah, I remember that line. You ain't my daughter, not anymore. And just a little note here that I made. It's just poor Rogue. That's what I wrote here. It's like, and this is a very intense performance from Lenore Zan in this one. She's pushing her vocals and acting to heights not normally seen in cartoons like this. I thought there's a lot of really strain in her voice, dealing with the emotionality of like portraying a character as getting kicked out of home by a father, getting betrayed by this and that, and just really in like some sort of psychokinetic sort of movie that's just crazy, a really psychotic thriller type deal. So
and a scream is crazy.
A scream could break glass. It just rips at the vocal cords. Like, you can't make her do too many takes of that.
No.
Or imagine the director like, okay, maybe we won't do that again, might blow your vocal cords out. But just wanted to bring that up. This is a pretty good vocal performance from Lenore in this one.
So Rogue has no choice, and she runs away to the bus station, where she runs into Mystique, who's in her sort of blonde mama form. And she says she gives her a meal and a hot bath. And we see glimpses of Rogue now in this full dark green bodysuit.
Yeah.
And she's using her powers on like Avalanche and Pyro.
Yeah, sort of a montage of her learning how to use her powers, and Mystique, or Mama, is helping her out.
So she takes Avalanche's powers, fair enough, uses them, but then she takes Pyro's and then sort of creates this fire to make that dog that we were talking about before, which isn't how his powers work either.
Yeah, in the I think it's in the comics and in the movies, it says that Pyro can't create fire, he can only manipulate it. That's what the flamethrower on his back is for. So that starts up the fire, then he can turn it into a dog, a monster, this, that, whatever. But once she absorbs Pyro's powers, she sort of just creates one. Maybe they didn't have time for her to have a cigarette lighter just so to start her up. That would have been pretty neat. But yeah, it's fine. Just a little inconsistency there.
So she says she's been training for the most important day of her life. And then we see Rogue, she runs into this airplane hangar, and she knocks out the one guard that's always there.
The one guard.
So she knocks him out and she takes off in the jet.
And she's using sort of her seduction
sex appeal.
Her sex appeal as a weapon early on. So Mystique really is teaching her the wrong sort of lessons here to really turn her into the sexy spy and take advantage of her.
And this is when Ms. Marvel shows up, Carol Danvers.
That's right.
And she's got the black one piece on. It's got the big lightning bolt down the front.
Yeah.
She's got the long black gloves and the long black boots on. They're like elbow length gloves and like thigh high boots. And she's got like the Robin / Phantom style eye black mask on.
Yep.
And she's got the long blonde flowing hair.
And a big red sash.
Big red sash.
Yeah. So from what looks like it, because we're following Rogue, we might be inclined to think, okay, I think Rogue thinks she's a force for good, maybe, because she's being taught how to use her powers, and these are her partners, or this is her crew. But then we see, well, the audience knows, well, Mystique, Avalanche, and Pyro are the bad guys. So we're really following the story of the bad guys, and Ms. Marvel's the hero. So I thought that was a really interesting way. But we're siding with Rogue because we know that she's a good guy, but she doesn't. So it's setting up a real sort of tragic story here, which we'll explain shortly.
So Ms. Marvel manages to take out Blob through a wall, which I thought was noteworthy because usually when they hit Blob, he doesn't go anywhere.
No, because Rogue's done that before and this just has not worked.
Happened earlier in this episode.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just to really set up that Ms. Marvel was a force. She had a firm grasp of what her powers can do, and she was at the peak of her superhero-ness.
Yep. So I enjoyed this part here where Rogue takes off in the plane. Ms. Marvel catches up with her, she folds the roof of the cockpit back and then jumps in.
Gets depressurized.
Folds it back on. That's so cool.
That's a cool little bit.
And so she takes control of the plane and knocks Rogue to the back of the cockpit. And this is when Rogue sneaks up behind her and then grabs her like around the neck or the jaw sort of area.
Yeah, Mama gives her the order first. Grab her, Rogue.
Yeah, she's in an ear transmitter telling her to keep holding on no matter what.
Yeah, and Ms. Marvel's getting drained big time here. And then Rogue says something like, something's wrong, I want to let go.
Yeah. Rogue wants to let go and she's scared because something is happening.
That's when she starts getting flashes of the green monster and just letting you know that something's up. But Mama is just in her here. Don't let go. Hang on. Don't let go no matter what. Really, there's definitely a beef between Mama and Ms. Marvel, seeing how Mama's setting up this ultimate weapon to get Ms. Marvel out of action.
The Mystique, Pyro, and Avalanche and Blob watch on as Rogue flies out of the jet, still carrying Miss Marvel, and it plummets to the ground right in front of them. That was another cool scene.
It's like, get out of the way, the jet's coming in. But yeah, is that sort of last-ditch effort from Ms. Marvel? She's still got Rogue hanging on her back. She flies straight up through the roof of the jet and like taking Rogue into the stratosphere. It looked like one of the classic Rogue maneuver. Just something's chasing you, just fly it straight up to the
Iron Man.
Yeah, the Iron Man maneuver, just
freezing process.
Freeze them in the sky, but gets to the very top. Ms. Marvel runs out of steam, and then they start coming back down to Earth. Yeah,
they fall out of the sky and cause this massive crater in the Earth. And Pyro asks who she is, and then removes her mask. And I'm like, oh, it's the blonde lady. Yeah.
It's like, do we know this person?
And then that transitions through back into the hospital.
Yeah.
So Rogue asks, why did Mystique make her hold on for so long? And she knew what would happen next. Rogue has Miss Marvel's strength and ability to fly permanently.
And that's why you see Rogue flying around, doing flips in the air, doing turns.
Smashing through trees.
Smashing through exploding trees and having a great time with the powers. But then it all comes awry.
And she says, but that wasn't all. I also had her mind trapped inside of me.
And that's when she like appears as a projection right next to her,
yeah,
right, flying right next to her.
Ghost Miss Marvel.
Ghost Marvel.
And then she's like, you stole my powers. You stole my life.
Oh, that's terrible. Then that's when she mutates. She transforms, right, into the green monster.
So, Rogue can't handle this, and this is when she takes off for the second time. So she gets back into her clothes that she was in before, the green crop top sort of thing and the short shorts.
I do like that outfit. That's a sexy outfit.
And so she flies away from Mystique, and then the professor calls her.
Mutant.
Mutant.
Mutant. I really remember that too. Mutant.
Mutant. Mutant. I feel your pain. Let me help you.
And Rogue says that she can't, and she asks him what will happen to Miss Marvel. And the professor says he can't return her to her body, but he can only quiet her for your sake. Like, what, isn't this the professor's job to take consciousness out of people?
Yeah, I think if he tried hard enough, I reckon he could.
Yeah, what's going on? Come on, Professor.
He's like level 10, or what's the highest level? 5 or 6? He's a level 5 mutant. I reckon he would have the powers to transplant mutant consciousnesses in from one body to another. There'd be nothing for him to do that, surely.
So that is the time Mystique lost Rogue, and she swore she would get her back, and she tries to hug Rogue, and Rogue's just pissed here. She's not happy with Mystique.
She's not hearing it.
And she only used her to get Miss Marvel's powers, and then she morphs into like Carol for like a second, and Mystique says, oh, this is because you touched me. You morphed into her. You've still got my powers.
And you can't control it.
So this is when Carol sort of takes the opportunity to overcome Rogue's body and mind, and tries to get away.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid plan for Carol to take charge of the body now that she has the ability to shapeshift. Pose the question, had Carol succeeded and she transformed into Ms. Marvel forever, would her powers to shapeshift eventually run out, seeing how she's absorbed Ms. Marvel's things permanently, but any other powers that she absorbs is only temporary?
Oh, yeah.
Could she stay Ms. Marvel, or would she have dominant, or would it just be like the mind is just she's overridden the genes so that Rogue is no longer Rogue anymore.
Yep.
And she's just forever Ms. Marvel. I thought that was a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
If she really took over, that's it. She's Ms. Marvel is reborn, so as it says.
So the X-Men bust through the door here, and Ms. Marvel's back, and she grabs Mystique and takes off through the window with Storm again in hot pursuit.
Yes.
Storm's the only one that can fly, so she's got to chase.
Exactly.
So Storm gets out there, and she can't catch up with them. They're too far away. And so that's Jean to the rescue.
Yeah, she can't. Yeah, she may outrun you, but I can keep up with her mind or whatever. She's using Cerebro to give her powers a boost.
Back at the mansion, got the Cerebro helmet on.
Yeah.
So then she helps Rogue sort of fight with Ms. Marvel inside her consciousness.
Yeah, it's a big subconscious fight.
Yeah, we're going back to that colourful land with all the floating rocks and all that sort of jazz.
That's what I really like. It's really sort of the mind projection of themselves, and in that sort of reality, they can manipulate themselves. So Jean's really big.
Yeah, she grows like 100 foot tall.
Yeah, and then you got the two projections fighting each other, like charging straight at each other for dominance here. So this is real sort of like, this is the fight for the host body.
Yeah.
Who's going to win, Ms. Marvel or Rogue?
Yeah, so massive Jean sort of grabs Miss Marvel in one hand, and she explains if she defeats Rogue here, they're both finished. And Miss Marvel doesn't care. She has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Rogue took away everything she ever had and everything she ever was. Rogue apologizes and blames Mystique. And then Ms. Marvel says, sorry doesn't give me my life back. This ends now.
And they're crying too. They're both tears coming down their eyes and everything.
So as she flies at Rogue, Jean sort of puts her in a cage. And then Rogue flies around and closes the cage. And then it sort of like starts molding in on itself.
Yeah, it's sort of like a cement sort of grows over the top. It's like, it looks like Ms. Marvel's going in for the kill. And then Jean steps in and goes, no, and puts the cage around her. The cage is still half open, but Rogue comes around, closes the other side of the cage. Ms. Marvel's tripping out. Rogue gets underneath it, and the concrete starts growing over the top, which is really scary stuff.
So really, I guess Rogue wins?
Rogue wins. Really confronting imagery. And then we see the other side of the cage, and it's got like air holes in the top left there. And then she plants it back down. So you can safely say that Ms. Marvel's been trapped.
She's been locked away in the subconscious, would you say that?
Locked away in the subconscious, not dead, not defeated, which means she could potentially break out again, and she could just be getting madder and madder in there, becoming even more evil or whatever.
So Jean manages to do this in a couple seconds.
Yeah.
What is the professor doing? Seriously? Come on.
Getting Rogue hooked on him, so she stays around like a pimp does.
Like a pimp.
Like a drug. Like a
That's
pimp.
it. He's a pimp as well.
He's a bloody pimp.
That's where he gets more of his money from, being a pimp.
Call him a wheel daddy or something. Sorry daddy. Oh, you mean sorry daddy? But yeah, that's what's going on there.
So then we come back and Rogue drops Mystique off on the rooftop and tells her to use her pitiful tricks on someone else, as she belongs to the X-Men now. Mystique claims that the professor is gone and only she can help her. It's like, no, Jean just did all the work. It's all, she doesn't need any more help, mate. She's fine.
Jean has done something in this episode. Start a new tally. Jean does something. Great success.
Rogue's line here is, you never loved me. You only cared about my powers. You made me worse than a killer.
Yeah, that's some harsh stuff.
So Mystique is like, how could you do this to me? I raised you like one of my own. And Rogue says, I'm not your daughter, Mystique. Not anymore.
That's a button on the line there.
Yeah.
Episode could have ended there.
But no, we go back to the mansion. And Rogue's now in, she's got a new set of civvies on. She's got the orange singlet and the grey pants.
Yeah, Gambit says, oh, you're real dressed up here. So singlet and grey pants is not real dressed up, man. Still looks good.
She's showing a lot of skin, though. She's trying to knock into anyone.
Yeah, I know. She really is a walking bear trap.
Bear trap.
So a walking bear trap covered in honey and tuna or whatever bears eat. Salmon, you know.
And bear pheromone.
She's a walking bear trap covered in honey, salmon, and bear pheromone. You can't be more of a target. But anyway.
So she's going to head off to the hospital now with some flowers.
Yeah.
And the nurse comes in and says, "Oh, do you know our Jane Doe?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's Carol Danvers," and just takes off. It's like, hang on. We haven't known who this chick was for 7 years.
Hang on, we need to fill out a police report here.
Can we just talk to the cops for a second? Hang on, mate. I don't know who this woman is.
I didn't even think about that. I was too busy thinking, yeah, she's an old friend. Fucking, you put her in a coma, she's not a friend.
She's no friend of yours.
I suppose she had to say that just so the cops wouldn't be after Rogue.
Yeah, that's right. So
then
then
she taps her on the head, and we see a little bit of a spark there.
Yeah, so we go to that monitor that they were telling us before, and it starts beeping. It beeps twice, and we see Carol's lips twitch a little bit.
Mm.
So yeah, maybe she's alive.
Yeah,
But
was
maybe
that,
not.
That little, but maybe not. Still dead. Maybe that little touch was just maybe like there's a little bit of exchanging of energy between Rogue and Ms. Marvel there. So if she had held on a bit longer, maybe it would reverse and they'd get the conscious back. But
I'm sure if the professor's in the room with those two, can't he just go pop, pop,
yeah,
done?
yeah. I reckon so. Professor's being selfish. This is a story I would have liked expanded on, maybe a part 2, Ms. Marvel. But anyway, we didn't get that. And after the smile...
And that's the end of that chapter.
So, what did you think of this one, Bender?
Viewing it tonight, there's a lot of layers in this episode that I didn't originally get as a kid. And even though it's very hard to revisit because it's not one of the fun, badass, funny episodes, this asks a lot of questions and has a lot of subtext to it. Like, I was thinking, roles reversed. We're following Ms. Marvel as a hero. This is the most tragic story ever. If she had her own episode, if she had her own animated series called The Adventures of Ms. Marvel, and this is like the last episode or whatever, the bad guys win. Because at the time, Rogue was a bad guy working with Mystique and Avalanche and Pyro. Ms. Marvel gets her powers taken and she's in a coma. And if you look at it that way, it's such a tragic sort of story. If we don't follow Rogue's background, she was forced to do it or whatever. Say Batman lost his powers and he's doesn't have any powers. Say Spider-Man lost his powers and he ends up in the hospital. That's one depressing ass story. And Ms. Marvel's like one of the big hero characters in Marvel comic books. Getting her own movie soon with what's the girl's name? I can't remember her name. Brie Larson, yeah, with getting her own movie with Brie Larson. Imagine if Brie Larson's Ms. Marvel movie ends with Rogue taking her powers.
I'd love that.
That'd be awesome. But whoa, this is a character we've connected with in a whole movie, and now she's in a coma and done. And that's what makes it such an interesting episode of X-Men the Animated Series, because essentially we have two heroes fighting each other. One doesn't know that she's a villain, though, and it's just trying to hang on to her form here. It's like, who's wrong? Who's in the wrong here? Yay, Rogue wins in the end, but boo, Rogue wins in the end because a hero is still down and out. So it raises a lot of interesting themes in this one, which I thought was really cool upon watching it tonight. As a kid, it was too traumatic, not fun, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I found this one a very interesting episode. I looked at it a lot in that sort of way. It's like, this is a really tragic story.
Yeah.
That Rogue is living with a lot of guilt here and will live for the rest. And her powers are a reminder of her being manipulated by Mystique. And having Professor trying to cover that up just to give her a little bit of peace. What Professor did isn't really the right thing to do. He just sort of hid it and swept it under the rug. That's not what a therapist would say. You do just forget about it, don't worry about it. You need to sort of confront it, own it, and then you can move on. And what Professor should have done is try and get that personality out of Rogue. That's what he should have done, not put all the time and effort into hiding her and tucking her away, you know what I mean?
That's because he can't get rid of him. That's right.
Pimp X,
Damn
man.
pimp.
He's a pimp. Goddamn pimps. But that aside, yeah, this episode really interesting for me. What do you think of this one?
Well, because I had so much memory of this episode, I expected it to be better than what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought like this is one of those ones that I remember, same as like Days of Future Past Part 1. I'm always like, yeah, man, this was a good episode. And I put it on, I'm like, it wasn't the same for me.
Yeah.
And I got that, oh man, why do I remember this episode so much? It didn't hit the, oh man, this is awesome sort of things as the other episodes do. So yeah, it left me feeling a bit low. But yeah, it's very, it raised a lot of those questions that you were talking about.
Yeah, it's just like you had like a similar connection with this one that I had with Time Fugitive Part 1. I remembered it being so much better than it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was thinking about Part 2. But
And also when you see those Three Stooges,
yeah,
that always it knocks it down a couple of points for me.
yeah, why's that? Because they
I've-
truly are stooges.
I've had enough of them.
They bring no threat. I read a funny thing. They keep appearing as comic relief, but they're not funny.
Yep.
It's like they're coming up as comedic relief, but they're not funny. I thought that's pretty accurate.
I think
here.
I've said this before. There's so many villains. Why come back to those three idiots all the time? Like, just give us three newer people.
Yeah, it's like really sort of caricatures. Avalanche is the one that really can't do anything. Blob's the stupid one, the slapstick guy, is burping and eating ice cream and tripping over and being fat. And Pyro's the Australian, in quotation, Australian.
That says English shit.
That says
And
English,
sounds English.
old stick. I've never called anyone old stick, never heard my old man call anyone old stick.
Nah.
But yeah, they seem like caricatures of, and they really pose a non-threat to the X-Men. So when they pop up and say, oh, they're going to slip over something, they're going to accidentally hit each other or get blasted when they say something, X-fools or whatever. And they really sort of bring the threat down a little bit.
And
So
the damage bill too. Damage bill is massive in this one.
Rogue, yeah, she just, because she's possessed and she's out of control, I imagine normally she'd be fine. But in this, she racks up a lot of damage to a hospital.
To a hospital.
I can't get past that. It's like, yeah, all right, you're blowing up an office building or whatever, but doing all this damage in a hospital, lives are at stake here, Rogue. You want to fight a little bit harder than what you're currently doing.
Also, no Savage Land again.
No Savage Land again, which is
That's
fine.
3 episodes in a row we haven't seen any Savage Land.
Having a great time with that. In and out. Don't need to see Professor X and Magneto fighting a dinosaur, fighting barbarians on pterodactyls. It's fine. We'll just stay in the episode. It was chockers enough as it is. I couldn't imagine another coda with Professor X on there.
And also no Beast, which we are going to get Beast episode next. But yeah, nothing at all from Beast this one. We got Jubilee in that she was the second person.
She was playing video games.
That's all we got a Jubilee in this one.
Gambit a little bit.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't think Beast could have contributed too much. There wasn't much people for him to fight or quote any philosophy to.
Yeah, so what was your favourite part?
Look, I think my favourite part would be the flashback to when Rogue gets her powers. That sort of little action sequence there when Ms. Marvel comes to the rescue.
Yeah.
Because to me, that looks like a snapshot of Ms. Marvel adventure that goes horribly wrong. But it sort of like sets up the world as being bigger than what it is. To see like, okay, this might be considered a crossover because I don't think Ms. Marvel's a mutant. Is that right? She's got its own sort of cosmic sort of powers. So this little crossover scene, it seems like, well, so good. We're following a crime or an action scene from the point of view of the bad guys. But one of the bad guys happens to be innocent little Rogue here, in which she turns, steals the power. Sort of felt James Bondish to me, like Ms. Marvel's James Bond coming in to stop like a crime or whatever, or in the middle of a spy sort of situation when Ms. Marvel takes out all the guys. Like you said, rips open the jet and takes over control. In the Optimum situation, she lands the jet, knocks out Rogue, and then brings all those other people to justice. But in this, it flips around and she gets got. One of the most tragic sort of scenes I've seen in the cartoons so far. Way more than Morph dying. Because this is really sort of bleak outlook on a hero that has failed. And the villains win, which is really, really dark shit if you think about it. Swap out the Three Stooges with really bad sort of villains that know what they're doing. It just seems way worse than what it was. So it was a really interesting scene for me, this one. That was my favourite. My favourite line, because it stuck with me so long, is finally Ms. Marvel is reborn.
Yeah.
To me, that's like she's been repressed for so long, and I don't know if it is exactly her conscious that's in Rogue's brain. Maybe it's what Rogue thought she would be that has sort of escalated into this really bitter, angry spirit that wants to take control again. I can't imagine the real Miss Marvel being that evil and controlling and, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's a really sort of sick drive to wipe someone else's life out so she can get her own life back. But in 10, it doesn't matter anything because Rogue won, but it's just that line stuck in my head the most. Normally I pick the funny lines or the badass lines. I'm going to stick with this one. It's one of the most sort of unnerving lines in the show.
Well, that's okay because I've gone with the funny line.
Thank God. Lighten up the mood of the podcast 'cause it's getting too bleak.
Just the fact that Cyclops didn't let Avalanche speak twice, that was hilarious to me. It's the best thing Cyclops has ever done.
That's your favourite bit?
That's my favourite part. It's just, he goes to bang, take that.
Was that after X-Fools?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, ex-fools!
Cyclops does something we agree with.
Yeah. And my favourite quote was the Blob, eat sidewalk, and the Wolverine reply, needs salt.
That's a good one.
Eat some sidewalk!
Need salt.
So how do you rate this one?
I want to rate it highly because I think it's a good episode, but it's not one that I rewatch often. I think I'll be generous. I'll play, like, I normally have, like, the way I break down films as being my favourite or best. It's the same thing. I think something's the best because it's my favourite. Depending on how it's scored is differently. I say this is a good episode, but it's not one of my favourites. So I'll rate it as a good episode, and I'll give it a 7.5.
7.5?
7.5 for this episode because I think it was just it's a very bold episode. They're trying to be more than just a cartoon. And they're not really dumbing it down for anybody because it's dealing with so much stuff here. There's so many themes, so many layers, and it asks a lot of questions in this episode, which I think it's pretty ballsy to do. Even though it's not one of my favourite, I will rate this one pretty highly, so 7.5. What I do to make it higher, or what it's lacking for me, I'm not too sure what it is. I think it's just because it's trapped in a cartoon. It can't be explored further of how dark and grim this story really is. I think for it to be better, I would have no idea. You'd have to change the format of the show and really sort of delve into the really mature themes that this episode would have. So you could probably go real dark with it if you wanted to, but you can't. It's a cartoon. So it stays a 7.5 for me. You rate it?
I give it a 6.
Give it a 6?
Yep. That's how it fits for me. 6.
All right, it's time for tally time. What do we have here?
This week, don't blink because you'll miss tally time. We have 0 for everything.
0 for everything.
So no beast quotes. Yeah. No claw draws.
That is crazy.
0. And twice he had his claws out. Like, we just come to and his claws are out. There could be easily been 2 claw draws
exactly.
in there.
When he's chopping the wood and when he's under the rubble, they're just already out.
Yeah, they could, yeah.
And when he charges in to stab Blob.
Exactly.
I mean, they probably didn't have any badass lines for him to say. Well, he did have time to trim that gut.
Yeah.
But no claw draw. I think it's pretty
no
interesting.
Pop.
No what?
No button pop on the claw draw.
Yeah, I know. That is interesting. 0 tallies.
And then we got no bubs.
Still bubless.
We got no Gene faints because Gene was actually useful.
Because Gene succeeds.
Yeah. So yeah, 0.
Sorry everybody. 0 tally time.
Another reason why it gets a 6.
Because we can't make tallies.
IMDb, by the way, gave this one a 7.8.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I'm with the team. I'm with the rest of the internet on this one. All right, it's time for Generation Mailbag and shout-outs. You got anything for me, Brooks?
Yeah, Larry's been back to us again.
Outstanding. I love hearing from Larry.
So Larry got to us on our Instagram this time.
All right, that's cool.
Talking about part 1 and part 2 of our last episodes.
Larry's got Instagram. That's really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, Larry Tunes 54 if anyone wants to.
Everybody who's listening,
follow.
want to follow Larry Houston, director of every single episode of X-Men animated series. Was it Larry Tunes 54?
That's it.
Go check him out.
So he says, Part 1 and Part 2 were both fun episodes, but a production nightmare.
Oh, jeez.
He says, since both were written by two different writers, I had to repeat Part 1 action into Part 2, but with Rogue.
Oh, right.
He said, I re-storyboarded the entire fight from scratch with my staff cleaning up the roughs.
Okay.
He says, notice there is no dialogue through the Part 2 battle. And then he says, the Remember Me Bright Eyes by Rogue I lifted from another episode.
Wow. Wow. Mate, he's getting busy. He's resourceful just to make it all happen. Has it been an episode we've seen already? Remember Me Bright Eyes? Or is it an episode coming up?
I'm not sure. We'd have to find out.
I'd have to look it up. But that's some really interesting stuff. That's not in the Leewald's book, eh?
No.
None of that backstory's in it. No. Larry, you got to write that book, brother.
Yeah,
we need
this is coming from Eric Leewald's perspective as the showrunner, not the director.
He doesn't see, Mr. Leewald doesn't see that side of production, or, well, he doesn't write about it, but all that stuff seems way more interesting to me of the behind-the-scenes animating, getting the animation down and figuring all that stuff out, because... yeah, it's getting the stories sorted and what characters use and what ideas to have. That seems like the, let's say, the easier side of the journey. But all the animation, that's what we see. All the behind-the-scenes stuff, yes, it's cool to get insight on that. But just to have a commentary on what we see would be even better. Larry, if there's some way of you doing audio commentaries for episodes...
oh, man, wouldn't that be great?
That would be unreal.
How about Blu-ray release?
Yeah.
Of X-Men animated series with some commentary.
Oh, mate. Larry, I don't know how much pull you have, but depend on where... isn't the rights of the animation... It's all over the place. If Marvel... Disney! Hear me now.
That's what we need.
Reach out. Grab X-Men the Animated Series. Get it in your catalogue. Give us a bunch of retro featurettes, audio commentaries on all the episodes, with Larry Houston explaining the chaos that was the animation production for X-Men the Animated Series. That would be unreal. Unreal for us, because we watched the episodes now. Now let's watch it with Larry talking us through step by step what happens. And it sounds like he's got good recollection on exactly what went down on all these episodes, because that'd be unreal.
Imagine though, like, okay, I'm just thinking,
yeah,
I'm spitballing here.
Give me some.
Okay, so he can't do anything with the rights, right? But what he could do is just sit there on like YouTube, watch the TV show, and just start talking about it.
I know, right?
Imagine that. Just did that.
Like, you can start his own podcast or whatever, but there's this website called SoundCloud where I have downloaded audio commentaries from other creators or fans or whatever. Larry, that'd be the easiest thing to do, brother. Get yourself a really good microphone, put your DVD in if you have one, and say, okay, this is start sync now at the same time that you hit play on the button, and we'll sync it up for you. But dream scenario, we want that Blu-ray from Disney when they buy X-Men the Animated Series. If not, Larry, if you can, baby, record some audio commentaries just for the episode, and we could play it along, have you right next to us playing your commentary while we're watching what we're seeing. That'd be unreal.
Well, you're great at giving people homework on this show, aren't you?
Oh, well, I think we're all very good at making big requests, giving out homework.
You gave a lot of homework to Pat last week.
And he delivered.
He delivered, didn't he?
If he was getting marked on this at full marks, he gives big essays, references.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're in uni, you'd have to write a reference from X-Men, blah, blah, blah. He did that too, and full details on the... Cyclops and his brother can't use their powers on one another.
So that's all on our Facebook page on the link to the Last Times podcast.
Yeah, if anyone wants any answers, answers for any of the questions that we asked, you just follow it on the link on our Facebook page.
He even gave his review for Black Panther as well.
Yeah, we saw the little mini review on the Black Panther.
So anyone else could do this. It not just has to be Pat.
No.
If anyone else has got an opinion, just punch it through.
Yeah, I'll put the homework out to anybody if I've got any comic book questions. If there's any comic book aficionados want to help Pat out, sort of lighten the load, help him out, it's more than welcome to. But yeah, I love that Larry's reaching out to us on our Instagram now.
Yeah.
Or I think he's hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. Has he hit us up on Twitter?
No.
One more social media to hit, Barry. If you're on Twitter, just tweet us, and you can have the holy trinity of social media. New Mutants in the news again.
Yes.
Pushed back again. Another delay on the release of Marvel of New Mutants there.
Yeah, they're saying up to 50% they're going to reshoot.
That is insane. I mean, surely when you look at the script, say it'd be cheaper and simpler to read through the script. Actually, have a fucking read of the script and say half of this needs to be changed, rather than say, title looks great, give me the New Mutants. They watch, they say half of this needs to change, and it's adding up to X amount of dollars in reshoots.
So it was delayed till February 22 and next year, 2019, and now it's been delayed again to August 20.
August 20, 2019. That's even longer.
Yeah.
So when was the original release? That was supposed to be out by now, right? 2018. I'll just look it up. Release.
Yeah, the 13th of April, 2018 was the original one. Yeah, Josh Boone's the director, and he loved the movie when he made it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Will we ever get that cut, you reckon, or what?
Well, I'm still waiting on the Snyder cut of Justice League. And some people are still waiting for the Josh Trank cut of the Fantastic Four reboot that he did. That's not arrived. And I'm still waiting on the John Woo cut of Hard Target. That's only been on a bootleg, so unless someone leaks it, like they leaked the test footage of Deadpool, I think these cuts are more or less stuck on forums on the internet. Someone may have found original scripts, and who knows? It won't be until... Well, the reason why Justice League may not get the Snyder cut is because the current cut, the theatrical cut, did piss poor in the box office. It didn't make, half of what Black Panther made.
Hardly any Marvel movie, really.
Hardly nothing. Doesn't come close with the budget it had. Justice League had a budget of about $300 million, and it barely made that back in both domestic and international. The only way that the Justice League could have got a Snyder cut is if it made heaps, and just as a bonus, they'd say, "Oh, okay, Zach, you can go release your version of the movie," and they'll release both of them on Blu-ray. I think that's the only way that you'd get two existing versions of the same movie. For New Mutants to get the original cut before all the reshoots, and depending on how different it has, it would have to make a lot of money for the studio to warrant them releasing, okay, we can also release a cut, the original cut.
Justice League was $300 million and it made $600 million.
That's unacceptable. It needs to double its budget to turn even, to break even, and then make even more to make a profit. So there's no... as much as I'd want it to happen, I doubt that there'd be a Snyder cut of Justice League. But yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe if the New Mutants does well, it'll get deleted scenes on its Blu-ray release. But they're not that popular these days. Deleted scenes. I don't know how many new Blu-rays you've got. Yeah, featurettes, audio commentaries, interviews. Very rarely they include deleted scenes anymore. I think they want that to... There's a mystery returning to films where they don't want you to see what the film used to be and everything. They just want because they're setting up bigger universes. You can't have with the MCU, you can't have a scene where Tony Stark talks to a brand new character that got cut from the film that's no longer in universe. So I imagine that's why they're getting rid of deleted scenes. If it doesn't make the film, it doesn't make the universe, and they just want to keep a continuity with everything.
So the word on these reshoots is all because they want the New Mutants to stand out tonally, like Logan and Deadpool did.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they want it to be that big horror angle.
Right.
Yeah, that's why they're doing these reshoots and new characters and everything.
Yeah, new characters, eh? So chances are it might have been a little too similar to the rest of them, right? It hasn't got a really defined look or sound or feel, so they're really, if there's a horror element to make it stand apart, I'm going to up the horror or whatever. But yeah, it is a bit of turmoil for all parties involved, especially actors and actresses who are sick of having the same haircut and have to are contracted to stay looking exactly the same as their characters for this long to do reshoots. They want to get rid of the mustache or whatever, or grow the highlights out, or they have to put a wig on like the Fan 4-stick movie or whatever you want to call it. But not good.
So yeah, the next one, X-Men Dark Phoenix, got knocked back again.
It got knocked back as well.
Yeah, so its original release date was November 2, but it's been moved back to February 14.
So February 14th.
Valentine's Day.
So,
Bummer.
Guess Ghostbusters too.
Yeah. Hey, Peter Venkman, Law of the Psychic. One of my 2 favorite shows. What was the other one? Bassmaster.
It's a fishing show.
Yeah. I know Bassmaster.
So 2019. Dark
I received this information from an alien.
Why even quote that movie?
I love that movie.
Really like Ghostbusters.
So your alien
too.
had a room at the Palace Hotel. At the Holiday Inn, Paramus. It might have been a room on the ship made up to be like that. I can't be sure of that, Peter.
Enough Ghostbusters 2. I want to do Dark Phoenix. So originally Dark Phoenix was supposed to come out 2018, right?
Yes.
But now it's been pushed back to 2019.
Valentine's Day.
Bummer. Do you think it's because they'll say, okay, they're giving them time to reshoot? Were there any reasons why Dark Phoenix has been pushed back? Have they give any reasons, or just regular reshoots?
So yeah, they've ordered a couple of reshoots. It's just had a test screening, and the studios decided to order some reshoots for Dark Phoenix.
It was pushed back to allow more reshoots after test screenings, revealed it needed additional photography. Blah blah. No real solid reasons there. Maybe just standard reshoots. But
the other thing to note about Dark Phoenix is it's a decade after the apocalypse, which is going to put it in the 90s.
Yeah, it's just screwing up the timeline, man. It's all over the place. But yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be the 90s, and that's what we're talking about here with the animated series. So let's hope for some better costumes. Although what we've seen recently, we've seen the photos from on set. It looks like they've got those blue and yellow suits on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the set photos for Dark Phoenix. So you're saying that they're not looking like...
It doesn't look like the end of Apocalypse at all.
Oh, you're kidding.
Let's hope that's the reshoots.
Too many pissed off fans. Where are the bloody costumes that they had in the
animated
series? In the animated series. So this will be an interesting snapshot, because I always see in these period films, I say periods like 70s and 80s, we weren't around for.
Yep.
Something that's set in the 90s, we were around for. So we can see what clothes they think that we wore in the 90s. Now I'm racking my brains, what did I used to wear and what did I see people wearing in the 90s? Just a bunch of whacked out... Baggy clothes, really baggy football jerseys, polo shirts. I always see heaps of photos of me wearing polo shirts. Sandals. Is that what X-Men Dark Phoenix is going to look like? Sandals and polo shirts and Hawaiian print board shorts.
The other movie set in the 90s is Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel. And it's not Ms. Marvel. She's a captain now, right?
It's Captain Marvel.
And her she's Carol Danvers, right?
Yes.
That's Brie Larson's
Carol
character.
Danvers, yep.
Yeah. Imagine if this one comes out, finishes Rogue taking the power out of
How good would that be?
That's the crossover thing.
All that late, because they finally get all the rights.
That's exactly right.
But they could get through 2. Like, you could have Captain Marvel 2, and then at the end of Captain Marvel 2, like, what else are we going to do with her? Let's get rid of her.
Rogue come in.
Let's have Rogue come in as Rogue.
That'd be unreal.
With all the powers. How good would that be to see?
That'd be the X-Men that we've been waiting for.
Yes.
Oh boy, that'd be unreal. You'd make it sort of like Rogue's the main character in the X-Men then, right? If she's crossing over platforms and taking the powers of Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Have her be a sort of a main character instead of Wolverine. Well, it's kind of be like the first X-Men movie when you're following Rogue from the start. And like you and I were sitting, when was she going to get those powers to fly?
Yeah.
Then 3 movies, don't get them.
No.
It's like, damn it. But yeah, that's an interesting idea. I mean, how excited are you for Ms. Marvel in the series of everything?
I'll go watch it, but yeah, not not hanging for it.
No sort of building up sort of anticipation for you?
No.
Nah. What was the last one this year? Like, the last couple of solo Marvel films have been Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Ragnarok. Which one of those have you been like really pumped up? So, I can't wait to see that one.
None of those.
None of those?
No.
And any coming out there's like, I can't wait for that one.
Infinity War. Yeah, and Deadpool 2, I'm interested to see. Yeah.
So there's no real sort of like new characters you've sort of pumped up to see. I think we've sort of hit all the new characters.
Yeah, you got Ant-Man and Wasp. That's the other one coming up. Yeah,
another sequel.
Yeah.
But continue on with Marvel movie news. Deadpool 2 trailer coming out.
Yes.
Looks like they're introducing a lot of characters from X-Force in there.
It does.
So I noticed Terry Crews is in there now. I didn't notice him before. I'm not very familiar with all the X-Force characters. So do you think this is the right direction to go with Deadpool, having it be sort of... I think they're trying to set up the characters for a spin-off. So, okay, introduce all the X-Force in Deadpool and then separate them from Deadpool. Do you think that's the way they're going to go with this?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, they try... So to call back to Blade Trinity, I think that's what they tried to do with that.
Right.
Have a Blade movie and then the team come in with Abigail Whistler and Hannibal King. That really
what
didn't...
What are they called? The Night Stalkers?
The Night Stalkers. That didn't
We're
really...
going to go with the Care Bears, but that was taken.
How do you know lines from that movie?
Deadpool's in it.
Because he is Deadpool, isn't he?
It's the only character he ever played.
Ryan Reynolds, if he's got a gun,
yeah,
he's Deadpool. If he's not, he's Ryan Reynolds, like Van Wilder. So, I think he says, evening, ladies, and calls someone a thunder C word. Yeah. I'm not going to say.
You're not going to drop that one?
I better not drop that one. That's a bit too much R-rated language for me. But yeah, that's a good point. It's the first Deadpool movie is Blade Trinity. So that didn't really pan out for the Night Stalkers in Blade because that movie was a bit of a stinker. But I think with Deadpool, she's looking pretty stuffed. She's got the Deadpool story with his girlfriend. Cable's coming in. X-Force as well. And protecting the kids. You saw the trailer, right? I think because it's looking like Deadpool's going to be a protector, Cable's coming from the future to kill the kid. Are you getting a strong Terminator vibe with this one now?
Yeah.
I hope and pray that there are a million Terminator references here, baby.
I reckon there will be.
If Cable says, I'll be back, I'll stand up, start clapping. This will be the moment I wanted for Spider-Man when Michael Keaton was announced as the Vulture. Yeah. If they made Vulture grab Spider-Man and say, I'm Vulture, I would have stood up, clapped in the center, and then I would have walked straight out the door because that's all I need. And then I would have walked straight out and have the Vulture fly up through the sky and land in front of the moon in the pose of like the bat plane and then sort of tumble back. Would have stood up, applauded and left. If Vulture said, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. I would have applauded and walked out. If Deadpool gives me the references to Terminator that Spider-Man didn't for Batman, this could be the best Marvel movie I've ever seen. Because I was trepidatious. You listened to last week's episode of how nervous I was about Deadpool and how I was sort of getting bored with the formula now. If it's chock full of homages to Terminator and all this sort of stuff I'll be thrilled with it. Especially if Cable's doing it. Cable, my boy, my favourite. Talking about one of my favourite movies, Terminator. Oh, forget about it. It'll be unreal. But it showed a lot more in the Deadpool 2 trailer now. It wasn't just the gag trailer. You're starting to pick up a lot more about the story, a lot more of the characters involved, the humour, the staging of it and all. Did you notice the mutant collars?
Yes.
Looks like they're going to be a little homage to the Muir Island collars thing. I wonder how they'll detach the collars in that one. Chances are... if Cable tosses him a key. Cable tosses one of them a key. I stole that off a guard. Thought you might use it. Oh, imagine if he calls himself the Wild Man of Borneo.
Yeah, he's going to. He's got it, doesn't he?
Who are you? The Wild Man of Borneo. Oh, sweet Jesus, if he says that line, I'll be happy.
Because one of the trailers for Deadpool, it says previously on Deadpool.
Oh, really?
That's a bit of an homage to the animated series.
I'll read into that. I'll buy that. But yeah, David Leitch, director, did Atomic Blonde and co-directed the first John Wick. I'm really excited to see what he does with the action in this one. I mean, first Deadpool, smaller sort of budget, couldn't have the wall-to-wall action. I think they've doubled down on the action in this one by having David Leitch come on board. So, if anything, it's going to have some really great fights and action beats in this movie. So, yeah, of all the Marvel movies coming out, was it Ant-Man, Infinity War, New Mutants, if it ever comes out, Dark Phoenix, if it ever comes out, and Deadpool, I'm most excited for Deadpool 2.
Even over Infinity War.
I think even over Infinity War, man.
You're crazy.
No, I'm not crazy. It's Cable. You know how you've been waiting for Apocalypse since you're a kid?
Yeah.
I've been waiting for Cable since I was a kid. You got your big anticipation movie.
I wasn't that good.
But he gets big in everything. Hashtag not my Apocalypse.
Now I'm calling for Sinister.
Yeah. For X-Men, I'm calling for Omega Red.
Oh, yeah. Omega Red, that'd be good too.
But Cable's my guy. This will be the first time we've seen him on the big screen in live action. He looks great, sounds great. Josh Brolin, dead set looks like him. I'm more excited for this one. I'm more excited for Deadpool 2 than Infinity War. With the MCU, my height of excitement was the first Avengers. After that, I can't really get excited for them at that level anymore. So for me, Deadpool 2 is the one that, okay, I'm ready, baby. All right, it's time for the social media shout-outs. Rate and subscribe to us on iTunes and Podbean. You can also find us on Podcast Addict, Pocket Casters, and now Stitcher. If you're on iTunes, give us a star rating so we can have an average. I want to see how many stars we're worth. Also, give us a written review for us, and we'll read it out on the next episode. Like and share our page on Facebook at Generation X-Men. Share us to any X-Men fans who'd like to hear two Australians bang on about mutants for an hour. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GenXmenPod for some behind-the-scenes photos, videos, and Meme Monday. Or you can contact us via Facebook IM or by email, generationxmenpodcast@gmail.com. So, what's up for us next week, Brooks?
Next episode is script number 23, Season 2, Episode 10, Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Just reading up on Beauty and the Beast a little bit, this is not considered one of the favourite episodes of X-Men the Animated Series, not from the sources that I've been reading. Could be haters, could be not. I don't remember this one very much, so this will be an interesting viewing next time. I should say next time from now on, not next week, because we're busy, damn it. Alright, that's it from us here at Generation X-Men. Hope you've had as much fun listening as we have had talking. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for your time and attention. Next week, we've got Beauty and the Beast with Breakdown, Tally Time, and Claw Draw. Like the Terminator, we'll be back, and we look forward to your company then. Thanks for hosting, Brooksy.
No worries, Brenda. Take it easy, mate.
No worries, mate. Bye-bye.
See ya.